Friday night coup, Broncos versus Storm. We've said before, the Broncos have lost 14 games in a row to the Melbourne Storm. This is 2009 since
last
they
time
beat
at
Suncorp.
Yep.
So there's a decent mental barrier to overcome there. Where Jerome Hughes, where is he sitting as far as that knee is concerned?
He'll be playing, definitely playing.
Yep.
I think I like the fact that Melbourne Storm have said that Pappenhausen would be on the bench and playing that rotation.
Yep. He won't. I expect him off the bench. He won't play full.
No, I wouldn't have thought so. And this, I think we know what we're going to get from Melbourne Storm. This is all about the Brisbane Broncos for me.
Yeah.
We sat here the other week and I said, like, if they can't beat Melbourne, they can't win the comp. Well, week one of finals, if they can't beat Melbourne, they've got to go the long way around to win it.
Do you think Kevy might be regretting resting some of those players?
I don't know. But I'll tell you what, knowing Kevy a little bit, knowing how proud of a Brisbane Broncos man he is, knowing the record that Melbourne have, these Brisbane Broncos team is one of the most physically intimidating teams. They're fast, they're strong, they're fit, they're powerful, they can do it all. And if he underpins that with a lot of emotion, like it could be a very big performance. Like it is a knockout blow if they can beat Melbourne round one with the history against Melbourne. Like that's a statement performance.
It'd be a shift, wouldn't it?
Big
Almost
time.
like a shift, yes.
Like we're all sitting here going, if they can't beat Melbourne, they can't win it.
Yeah.
But what happens if they do beat Melbourne and win big?
A big challenge for Melbourne, and it's strange saying this about Melbourne because they're renowned for dominating this area. Can they match Brisbane through the middle? Yeah. That's the big challenge. Yeah. That's a big strength. How do you think Melbourne will defend Reece Walsh?
I think you've got to give him multiple looks. Yeah. I think their centres will be quite aggressive. But then if you're aggressive one, then don't be aggressive next time because Adam Reynolds is going to throw a cutout pass or a kick over the top. So if you keep giving the same cue all the time, then you've got a smart halfback that will pick you apart the next time.
Can I ask you this, Coop? When Reece comes around, sweeps around the back, those double cutouts over the top, is that vision or is he preempting those passes? What do you think?
Well, I think the cutout pass or the kick is vision you've seen during the week, and if you go to it early, I've seen this and I'm prepared for it. The one that's done 25, 30 minutes late in the half is the one that's gone, oh, okay, I saw you do this last time, I'm going with this option now.
So a bit of a combination of both.
Yep. So if I'm the Melbourne Storm, I'm kicking the ball and isolating Reece Walsh and I'm giving him everything I've got. Like physically, you got to go after him. And then the first time he's out the back of shape, hit him again and then pull back into some form of system defence or something like that. But you've got to make him, he can't be comfortable. Once him and Adam Reynolds start recognising what you're doing defensively, I think it's...
Who's going to win it?
Well, I'm sticking with the heart here with Melbourne. Yeah. But I tell you what, it's the best game of the final series for me.
I do like the Broncos.
Yeah.
I do like what
I understand that,
Saturday Arvo is going to be a beauty. Penrith versus the Warriors. Penrith are a machine, but so was Ivan Drago.
And you know what happened?
The battle of the packs is going to be a beauty. Fanua Blake against Lee Hayter and Fisher Harris. It's going to be great. Johnson versus Cleary. Yeah. Do you think, the loss of Jerome, highly unlikely that he'll play. How heavy do you think, how much do you think Penrith will miss him through this final series?
I think they'll miss his point of difference. And when I say point of difference, that fleet-footed dancing, bouncing around.
Yep.
But if I'm Ivan Cleary and with Jack Cogger there, all you really need is a good defensive half that can make his tackles and promote the ball when he needs to. He was great on the weekend, Cogger. And we've spoken about Stephen Crichton potentially playing there, but when you've got Isaiah and Nathan doing what they do, you just need assurance of who that six is.
I was sitting this morning, I was thinking, okay, if you're Andrew Webster, how do you defend Yeo and Cleary? And it's interesting. Back in the day when Cliffy Lyons was the most dangerous ball player in the competition, it was interesting. When the Raiders would play Cliffy, Ricky would push himself. Oftentimes, Ricky would sit in what we used to call the safety position, which is you got the markers, and he'd sort of sit behind the markers, and he'd wait for a first receiver to get the ball, and he'd push him out.
Yep.
You know, he'd mark up on the ball player. And what he would do with Cliffy, Sheensy would get him to sit, and when Cliffy would ready to call the ball, Ricky would pull himself into the line and lead. He'd lead the line by a metre or two and just make Cliffy play early.
Yep.
Now, I don't know if that works in the modern game with certain shapes and everything like that, but I don't know, you know. Do the Warriors, because I think the Warriors got to go in there with a plan to go, we're going to upset these guys.
Yeah, and that's the issue here for the Warriors, because their strength has been their system. They've been very straightforward in the way they've gone about their season. Not too much disconnect. They've been very steady, process-driven. But if you want to rattle Penrith, you've got to go at them with something different. You just can't keep your system, because if you're going to strangle, they'll strangle you.
Yeah.
And it'll end up being a slugfest for a period of time. We know who's going to win that.
Well, we saw that last year, right?
Yep.
Like similar where Sharks had this great season, but almost went into the finals with that same approach. Let's just go about our systems, and got caught out. There's no doubt when you hit the finals, you know, it's about elevating yourself, and you do that a lot of times through emotion, getting yourself up for the contest, particularly if you want to upset a side like Penrith.
Yeah. Well, if I'm Webster, what would I do? Well, I think you've got to have confidence in your defence to give Nathan Cleary something that he didn't plan for. Right, so he's going to watch a lot of video this week, Nathan, and he's going to sit there and go, okay, this is what the Warriors do on their edge. They're pretty straightforward. They sit there so I can get on the back of shape and hit the accelerator and I'll play. Maybe early on, Sean Johnson and whoever ends up lined up at 5'8" for the Warriors is outside in on Cleary, just in the first couple of minutes.
Yeah.
Just bump him, rattle him. Don't let the ball get outside him. Compress this way, and then maybe go back to being a bit...
It's interesting you say that, Coops, right? Because you and Nathan, there's a lot of similarities between you and Nathan in the fact that you watched a lot of tape. Nathan watched a lot of tape. You were very organised. Nathan is very organised. But Cronulla, when they played you, they went in with a plan, said, we've got to upset Cronk. And they did that by Wade Graham coming at you a mere miles an hour from the inside.
And it worked at different stages.
But as you know, like when you're a ball player, when a person's coming from your inside, oftentimes in a blind spot, mate, you find yourself, you can't help but be distracted by that.
And someone that planned everything, when something is a different plan, it's like thrown out. Okay, now I have to wait for another 5 or 10 minutes to see what they're actually doing, and then I'll recalibrate the attack as such. So maybe that is the approach to take down Penrith is you've got to show something that they're not ready for.
If there's an upset, you know, and we always draw conclusions in hindsight. If the Warriors were to upset Penrith, what we would sit here next week and say, you know what, if we were looking back, Coops, their last 2 performances before they played North Queensland weren't that good, and they just rolled over North Queensland, who were poor. That's what we'll say.
We would, yeah.
But anyway.
And Webster knows Penrith better than you and I sitting here.
Yeah, he does,
I mean, so, look, the answer is no, I don't see it, but I wouldn't be surprised if there was this huge upset.